Boundless Immigration News, Week in Review, March 25, 2022. Federal judge partially blocks Biden's deportation enforcement priorities. A federal judge has partially stopped a Biden administration policy that directed Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, officers to prioritize arresting and deporting immigrants who pose a threat to public safety or national security, or had only recently entered the country without authorization. The partial injunction of the enforcement priorities means that more immigrants in the U.S. are now potentially subject to detention and deportation. The decision applies to cases in which the immigrant already had a final order of removal, meaning an immigration judge decided that the immigrant cannot stay in the United States and has ordered the immigrant to leave, or the immigrant is subject to mandatory detention under U.S. immigration laws. Biden administration ends expanded expedited removal policy. The Biden administration, on Monday, formally withdrew the Trump-era expedited removal notice, which allowed Immigrant and Customs, ICE officers, to arrest and deport undocumented immigrants anywhere in the country who were unable to prove they had been in the U.S. continuously for 2 or more years without a hearing in front of an immigration judge. Before it was expanded in 2019, DHS used expedited removal to arrest and then deport certain undocumented immigrants who were within 100 air miles of the U.S. border to those who arrived by sea and those who had not yet been physically present in the U.S. for 14 days. The expanded expedited removal policy was suspended by the Biden administration in October 2021. This week's formal recession returned the policy to its pre-2019 state. Biden administration announces plans to welcome 100,000 Ukrainian refugees. The Biden administration announced plans Thursday to welcome up to 100,000 Ukrainians and other refugees fleeing Russia's invasion of Ukraine. The pledge also includes $1 billion in new humanitarian aid in response to the largest refugee center in Europe since the end of the Second World War. More than 3.6 million people have fled Ukraine since Russia's invasion last month, while just 690 Ukrainians have entered the U.S. as refugees since October 2021. Only 7 Ukrainian refugees were resettled in the United States in the first 2 weeks of March. 1/3 of immigration court cases are children, 40% are toddlers. Almost 1/3 of all new cases in U.S. immigration courts are children under the age of 18, and of those cases, 40% are toddlers under the age of 4, according to a new report released last week. Since the fiscal year began in October 2021, toddlers under 5 have made up 12% of all immigration cases, receiving nearly 1 in 8 of all notices to appear in immigration court. The data was gathered by the Transactional Records Access Clearinghouse, a nonpartisan and nonprofit data research organization at Syracuse University. Confirmation hearings of Supreme Court nominee Ketanji Brown Jackson. Confirmation hearings for President Joe Biden's Supreme Court nominee, Ketanji Brown Jackson, began Monday, March 21st. During these hearings, which ended yesterday, members of the Senate Judiciary Committee questioned Judge Jackson about her prior work and judicial outlook. Despite the tense and sometimes offensive tenor of the confirmation hearings, Jackson is generally expected to be confirmed by the Senate. Lawmakers hope to complete her confirmation process before the Senate breaks starting April 8th. Those are this week's top immigration news headlines. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to Boundless for the latest in immigration news. Thanks for watching.